Okay, we're heading into Aldi now. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a supermarket comparison. I'm going to be comparing Aldi, Coles, Tasman Meat Butcher, and also the Fruit Shack. So let's check it out. So I'll clarify a couple of things before going into the comparison. My thoughts were going in that Aldi might be slightly cheaper than Coles based on what I've heard, that the butcher would beat both Aldi and Coles on meat quite easily, and also that the Fruit Shack would beat them both quite easily as well. So what I did, I simply walked around each of the stores recording prices of many items that we buy on a regular basis, as well as some general items that we don't necessarily buy. It's by no means a full list of what we buy or encompasses all groups. For example, we haven't included any cleaning products or toiletries. What I've done is I've compared 36 items from Coles and Aldi. I did have a look in Not Quite Right, but they only have a small sample of items, so it wasn't really practical to do a comparison. They do have some good deals though, with items that are close to or just past the best before date, so it's worth checking them out also if you're on a budget. Something else to consider while you're looking at shopping and doing some comparisons in the stores is looking at the price per 100 grams. So it's been several years now, I'm not sure how many. You used to have to work it out in your head or take a calculator with you, but now it's been mandated that they actually put the price per 100 grams just below the price of the item. So what you'll find is that sometimes can versus can, one might be a bit cheaper, but it could be significantly smaller, and the price per 100 grams could be a lot more, even though the actual price of the unit is cheaper. Generally speaking, the bigger size you buy, the cheaper it will be per 100 grams or per kilo. But you'd be surprised, sometimes buying the smaller option is actually cheaper per 100 grams. I've seen that a few times with rice, with other items. So just make sure when you're looking at the items and you're comparing them, even in the same store, or if you're shopping, at a multitude of stores, make sure you're looking at the price per 100 grams, and that will give you a good indication of which deal is the best for you.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
So what did the comparison reveal? So between Aldi and Coles, over the 36 items, when looking at it on a per kilo per packet basis, Aldi came in $45.96 cheaper. So bananas were roughly the same at $1.80. Pink Lady apples about $2.50 each. Carrots were half the price at Aldi. Green beans were 40 cents cheaper a kilo. Seedless grapes were slightly more expensive at Aldi by $1.60 actually. Raspberries were cheaper by almost $8 a kilo. Spinach was almost half price, big difference, $13.30 to $25. Onions slightly more expensive at Aldi. Mushrooms cheaper at Aldi. What else? A couple of significant items. Almonds were much cheaper at Aldi. Tuna was slightly cheaper. Free range eggs were slightly cheaper. Um, Coconut milk was cheaper. Kidney beans slightly cheaper. The tin food was all slightly cheaper across the board at Aldi. The surprising thing was actually the meat. So between Aldi and Coles, I think looking at it here, yeah, Aldi come in slightly cheaper. So the beef mince was $7 at both. Chicken breast was the same at each, but the thigh fillets were much cheaper at Aldi at $6.50, whereas they were $10.50 at Coles. So that's $4 cheaper a kilo, which is pretty big. Compared to the butcher, this was what really surprised me, in that they weren't actually that much cheaper than Aldi. So the chicken breast fillets was basically $9 each at Aldi and Coles. At the butcher, it was $9.99. But if you, or sorry, $8.99. But if you buy 2 kilos or more, you get it at $6.99. So I guess it just depends on how much you're going to buy. But the thigh fillets were $9.99 compared to $6.50 at Aldi, so slightly cheaper by $3 a kilo. Tenderloins were cheaper at the butcher at $13.99 compared to $17 at Coles. I didn't seem to get a price for that at Aldi. Um, on the vegetable and fruit side, again, Aldi beat Coles by about $12 over the 10 or so items. The Fruit Shack, if you don't count the mushrooms, come in much cheaper than both. But even with the mushrooms at $5 extra than Coles, they still beat um, Aldi by about 60 cents. So what I'll do, I'll put the spreadsheet that I've got down the bottom in the description there somewhere that you can download and have a look at it. But I guess overall, if you really only want to go to one shop, I'd have to say Aldi. If you had the luxury of going to a few different places, personally I'd probably get my fruit and veg from the Fruit Shack. It does work out a fair bit cheaper, especially if you take out that one item where for some reason it was more expensive. Butcher didn't seem to save that much. I guess that will then come down to personal preference about the quality of the meat. So what I did with all of these items, I simply tried to find the cheapest at each store. May not be your favorite taste, but I was more looking at this from a comparison. So what's the cheapest you can get something at Aldi? What's the cheapest you can get something at Coles, Fruit Shack, and Butcher on an equivalent basis, so per kilo or per pack or per 6-pack, whatever it may be. So I hope you found this video informative. I hope it's given you some information about where you might be able to go to get things a bit cheaper. And yeah, if you want to check out the food comparison spreadsheet that I've created, go down into the description and yeah, leave me a comment. Also, if you have any information about where you get stuff from that I haven't mentioned here, I might have to do like a Costco video in the future. Let me know. And yeah, I'd be glad to have a discussion with you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.